Content warning, this review contains some minor swearing. I will give you a warning if you want to zip past it. Hello there guys, this is Christy Lewis from Dostoevsky in Space, and this is a review of The Original by Brandon Sanderson and Mary Robinette Kowal. This is an audio first release, so the only way to read it now is via audio. Lots of people have been enjoying The Original, so if you're one of those people, that is wonderful. It seems like people who enjoy thrillers really enjoyed this. That is awesome if that's you, and if you enjoyed it, you might not want to watch my review. It might make you angry, it might hurt your feelings. I don't really want to hurt people's feelings. I will not be offended if you skip this video, but I'm assuming if you clicked on it that you want to hear my rant review. This is a story about a woman named Holly, I guess. I don't even hardly remember her name because it's a first-person narrator and the characters didn't really matter. Sorry, I'm getting ranty already. I'll try and save that for the appropriate section of the review. Holly wakes up and doesn't know where she is, doesn't know what's happened to her. There's just some weird people talking to her, and suddenly one of them comes at her with a knife, and she reacts differently than she would have expected. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. The beginning just has all sorts of tension and twists, and it explodes with conflict, and I was expecting good things after listening to like the first track. There's like 49 tracks on this CD version. Unfortunately, although the setup is promising, the execution and the payoff did not work at all for me. Without spoiling anything big, I'll just say that the story involves a manhunt through a disturbing cyber world where our main character learns the depths of the deception that she and her fellow human beings have been subjected to in their everyday life. Everything is very virtual in this world. People walk around with themes. They can theme the world according to their liking. You can choose whether to let other people keep their own themes or whether your own theme will override their theme. When you go into a restaurant, you can theme it according to your music and your tastes. You can theme your home. Everything is themed. There's also nanite technology that heals you. You can go to a refilling station every so often and get your nanites refilled, which takes care of illness and things that plague us day to day in our world. Although you still can be killed by a mortal wound. There's quite a world set up in the backdrop of this story for a novella. It's actually pretty impressive, and you can see Brandon's hand in that. I'm guessing he did a lot of the world building since he was the outliner in this co-author duo pair thing, and that is definitely one of the best things about this story. I think that's why the beginning was so powerful, is because you're getting introduced to some of the conflicts that are built into the story because of the world building. People can pretty much follow their passion projects. There isn't really a need for some of the like dirty jobs. If you've ever seen Dirty Jobs, I don't think anybody really has to do the dirty jobs anymore, unless perhaps they choose to disconnect from society. You can choose to disconnect. I forget what they called that. And then you don't get to use nanites. You lose the benefit of a universal basic income. Everybody who the main character has experienced up to this point in her life are totally fine with checking in with the government, and they have no problems with that. They're not super concerned about privacy or any of the other things that would concern, say, a libertarian. So this book does take a hard look at cyber ethics within the confines of a quick thriller narrative. Some people call this a mystery narrative. I tend to find mysteries a little bit slower on the action and on the plot development, and they often will have more character development than this one did. That's just my experience with mysteries. I like mysteries. I generally don't like thrillers. I think part of the problem for me with this series is that Kowal wrote it. Kowal is a short story writer. Honestly, the pair of them sounds like a dream team because Brandon cannot write something short. Kowal has the expertise in writing something short. So she keeps things very spare and makes it into a thriller. I'm not sure if Brando has written really thrillers exactly. I do have his Legion books. I haven't actually read those yet. So he's known for his world building and his big picture twists. And she's known for being an audio narrator, which does affect your writing if you're aware of what audio narrators need, the kinds of cues and the kind of writing that makes it easy to narrate a story. And she is very skilled at economical writing. Even the novels that I've read from her were very short and fairly spare. Sounds like a dream team, right? Well, my problem is Kowal didn't really linger over the world building details, and this is partly because it's a thriller plot. So maybe I should have known I wouldn't like it just going in, just because of the thriller plot. It's kind of the nature of the game, but sometimes I can get into a thriller, you know? It depends on a lot. I don't really know exactly what it is that draws me into a thriller plot at this time, but like I loved 24. That's all thriller. But that one had better character development, in my opinion, than this one did. And lots of like cliffhangers and stuff like that. This, I recognized that there was good world building, but it was mostly spoken of in passing or used directly in an action scene. And those are not the ways that I process world building. I like lingering over it, seeing some magical aspect of it. And, you know, unless it's plot essential, Ms. Kowal cut it out. So I had trouble visualizing most of what happened in this story, even at 1x speed. I was just listening to it on 1x speed because I knew it would be hard for me to follow just as an audiobook. I wish that I had had an ebook to read along with this. So as a result of this, I did not get the ooh and ah moments that I'm used to getting from Brandon Sanderson's fantasy and science fiction. I don't think my ambivalence towards the story can be adequately explained by the fact that it's an audiobook and not an ebook, because I've definitely listened to ebooks that were completely engaging and I loved them. I really didn't care for any of the characters. None of them really felt real to me, even though we spent a lot of time in the main character's head. I felt like all the characters were too simple. The main character said a couple times that she has only fought with her husband like twice. And I'm like, are you even living together? Like, to me, that just sounded so fake. Other reviewers did mention not really liking the main character, and I completely agree with that assessment. I liked Foundation by Isaac Asimov, which has no characterization at all. But I still liked it because it had really good ideas, and I was engrossed by the moral and political entanglements of Foundation. None of that happened here. And Foundation was short. It's made up of a bunch of short stories. I like sci-fi novellas. I like sci-fi short stories. I did not like this. This is how I know that it's not just the main character who's coloring my opinion of the original. It's the whole voice and tone of the piece. It's not just the main character. It's like what other characters did, and she's reporting directly what they did. It's just delicate, and it's pretentious, and it's dull. There, I said it. For example, a woman and her whatever, it's a boyfriend, I'm guessing. All we know is that they're a thing. Regardless, a woman and a man, her thing, named Pradeep, are walking around together, and I'm not quoting directly because I don't have a text. The woman is like, please come hang out with us tonight. So-and-so does the most splendid and ephemeral carvings of dragon fruit. She really used the word splendid and ephemeral. And the guy responds, oh, but I can't. My chess club meets that night. It's just like, really? Oh my gosh. Did I mention the main character like carves oranges and that's her job? Not that that's not cool, but I feel like Mary's characters are mostly artists and never plumbers, if that makes any sense. Like, maybe she should consider including some rugby players in her next novel, just for a little variety. So it doesn't help that I went into this expecting the voice and tone to have some of Brandon's zaniness, some of his goofiness, his humor. There was no humor in this at all. It was not funny. And Brandon is just fun. And this was so serious and clinical and it was no fun. It was almost overly concerned with like the delicate mental balance of our cupcake of a main character. I'm a cupcake. I'm very delicate. I'm a delicate flower. I get that. I don't mind that in a character. I did not like that in this. Everybody's mental state was just so delicate and fragile, and it was kind of nauseating. She even swears pretentiously, like in the most appropriate places. When she's running after somebody and something bad happens, that's when she swears. It's just kind of like an explosion out of nowhere, like, oh, whoa. We were just talking about carving dragon fruit, and then, you know, whoa, where did that come from? It didn't sound right. It was discordant with the tone of the book, which is so careful to say everything perfectly and then random swearing. I don't know. It's because it's a thriller. There must be swearing, right? That's why it's there. Have you guys ever seen The Simpsons spoof of 24? Kev and I always just fall over laughing when we see that because in it, they use Jack Bauer's catchphrase from the actual show, which is a swear word. It's not a very offensive one because it was on TV, and at that time, TV didn't really swear that much. So it's, one of the milder ones.
I'm a duty.
Chloe, find out all you can about I Made a Duty. Does anyone there know I Made a Duty?
Ahmed Adoudi, wealthy Saudi financier, disappeared into Afghanistan in the late 90s.
Really?
No, Jack, it's a joke name. You're being set up.
But he would say it anytime something bad happened. And to me, it worked in 24. I thought they did a great job because there was a lot of grunge. There was a lot of other things that were serious and intense to watch, and it didn't feel out of place. Honestly, we never even noticed that he wasn't using worse words because we were so gripped by the storytelling. So my feeling on it is, if you want to go gruff and tough, do it. If you want to go grunge, do it. I probably won't like it, but the way she does it, it just sounds so mechanical. It's like, it's funny, but not in a good way for the book. It's funny because it's easy to make fun of. There was other times when she would say things like, oh, that was hella something. I don't know. It was just like, hella? Like, who even says that? Nobody. Maybe some Gen Zers. I don't know. I'm not up with the trends, but that's something my friends were saying in high school that nobody says anymore. My mom used to make fun of that and she'd go, that's hecka this. I mean, it's just like, you sound so out of touch. Another problem with the characters in here is that there was no real moral risk, even though it was almost like there was supposed to be something really morally risky going on. And the moral arguments here, I just didn't care about them, which makes the story very dull. That's usually like my favorite thing about a story is the moral argument. I think I've been ruined by classic literature because it deals with real moral risk. Also, the writing was super cliche at times. I'm not gonna say all the time because on audiobook, I can't really pay that great of attention to the writing itself. However, at one point, the main character gets so angry that you know what she does? She punches her fist into a wall, rubs the heels of her hands into her eyes until she sees fireworks, and grits her teeth. Okay, those are all physical cliches, and they're boring. That's why you're not supposed to use them. As far as originality, I heard at least Daniel Green say he thought that there was some originality in here, and I just didn't really see that. I didn't think it was particularly original. Maybe there were original touches, but again, without lingering over them, I just didn't see them or care or enjoy them. I've read lots of sci-fi novellas and short stories that I really ended up caring about, and I loved them. In fact, I just read The Foghorn by Ray Bradbury, and it just emphasized to me the difference between a really well-told short story and a long, drawn-out, pointless story. This could have been a short story, and it might have made a good short story. It did not make a good novella to me. You could have condensed this so easily into the moral implications and the characters, and you could have still had a plot, but so much of it was unnecessary fluff to me. I immediately jumped into The Foghorn by Ray Bradbury again because I listened to it, and it impacted me so much that listening to it in 6 pages, I was like, I need to go back and reread this immediately, so I did, and that's what a good short story does. This, I would never reread this. I was so bored. I don't understand why people liked this, but if you did, kudos. I'm so glad. I'm really, really glad that you enjoyed this. More power to you if you were entertained, because you probably had a better day than I did yesterday. I hope you guys enjoyed this rant review. I don't make a habit of rant reviews because I make a habit of quitting things that I'm not enjoying. However, this one was so short, and the name Brandon Sanderson made me want to review it. Let me know what you thought of this if you have read it, and if this review intrigued you. Honestly, I hope that this review helps people find it, if this is the right kind of story for you. Because it might be. One of my best booktube friends, Michael Knipp, loved this story. I mean, I don't get it, but he loved it. So hopefully you see something in this review that makes you think, That's for me, I hope. Okay, guys, take care. And if you liked this, go follow Michael Nip, as if you haven't already. Take care.